The boy suddenly went into cardiac arrest and stopped breathing, and the hospital immediately began emergency treatment. At that very moment, a doctor casually crushed the emergency medication in his hand, and time instantly came to a halt.
The
boy miraculously woke up. The doctor explained that he was a soul administrator from heaven, and because Shiro's soul had drawn a lucky lot, he was allowed to inhabit another person's body and return to the human world, as long as he could find the true cause of death of the body's original owner, Makoto. Within 100 days, he would be able to fully revive.
こいつも死んでるの。死んでる。じゃなきゃさ、シロが入る余地ないじゃん。
As he spoke, the soul administrator handed Shiro an hourglass counting down 100 days, and warned him that he only had 3 chances. If all 3 answers were wrong and he failed to identify Makoto's real cause of death, his soul would completely disappear. After that, frozen time began to flow again, and Shiro truly came back to life using Makoto's body, because he had no memory of this body at all. Shiro pretended to have amnesia and managed to deceive Makoto's brother and mother. On the day of his discharge, Shiro cautiously asked his mother why he had been sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. However, his mother suddenly looked nervous and hastily replied that he had caught a cold which triggered a lung infection, causing him to fall into a severe coma. Her answer immediately raised Shiro's suspicions, and he became convinced that Makoto's death had something to do with his mother. Just then, time froze once again, and the soul administrator possessed a driver and asked Shiro his first question.
もうクイズの答え分かっちゃいました。
Shiro guessed that Makoto's death could not have been caused by illness alone, so he chose not to answer, and the soul administrator smiled in approval as time resumed its normal flow. After returning home, Shiro gradually realized that Makoto's family relationships were far from harmonious. Even though her son had been rushed to the hospital and nearly lost his life, his mother told him that his father was on a business trip and never once came back to visit. His brother also seemed to dislike Makoto, and instead of offering any comfort after his discharge, he showed nothing but irritation. Even more suspicious was Makoto's mother. When Shiro offered to help her cook, she suddenly looked overwhelmed, as if she were receiving an unexpected favor.
初めてだから。
マジ？たまには。
All these abnormalities made Shiro suspect that Makoto's death was something the entire family might already know about. In order to uncover the truth, Shiro began searching the house after everyone had fallen asleep. He first found the family photo album, but strangely, there was not a single picture of Makoto in it. Then he discovered several broken paintbrushes in a drawer, and inside Makoto's room, there was a large stain of dried blood.
お前がそこで倒れてたんだよ。でもただの風でこんな。
His brother refused to explain anything and rudely drove him out of the room. And all these unnatural reactions made Shiro even more certain that something terrible had happened to the body's original owner. The next day, Shiro planned to go to school to look for clues, but a female classmate came to visit his home, and judging by her behavior, she seemed very close to Makoto and greeted him warmly the moment they met. On the way to school, Shiro learned from his conversation with the girl, Akira, that she and the body's original owner had been childhood friends with a very close relationship. After arriving at the classroom, Shiro greeted his classmates enthusiastically, but was met only with cold stares. Only then did he realize that Makoto had not gotten along well with his classmates before his death. He was an unnoticed student with no friends, and often became the target of school bullies. In order to eat lunch in peace, Shiro took his bento alone to the rooftop, but unexpectedly ran into a beautiful senior student there. Although Shiro did not recognize her, for some reason, the moment he saw her, his heart began to race uncontrollably.
DM はスルーだし、電話も出ないし、N モデルになってあげたのにひどくない？
Shiro guessed that Makoto must have liked this senior before, so he pretended to be familiar with her and started chatting naturally. Through their conversation, he learned that Makoto had exceptional talent in drawing, and this senior had been his model. The senior asked him to help her choose a gift, since her friend's birthday was next month and she had no idea what to buy. And Shiro agreed without hesitation, which clearly surprised her.
なんか今日は別人みたい。もしかして、まだ熱ある？
Shiro's face instantly turned red, and this scene was seen very clearly by Akira from a distance. A week passed in the blink of an eye, yet Shiro still had no solid leads. On that day, Akira suddenly urged him to hurry up and finish the design for the school's centennial celebration, and only then did Shiro learn that Makoto's artwork had gained some recognition before his death. so the finale of the centennial event had been entrusted entirely to him, with Akira serving as the director. However, Shiro had no ability to draw at all, so after some thought, he went to the art room and searched through Makoto's old storage cabinet to see if any designs had already been completed. Unfortunately, the art teacher spotted him and directly ordered him to complete a drawing within 5 minutes to test whether his skills had improved. Shiro was completely stunned, having never studied art before, and could only force himself to pick up the brush. To his surprise, this body seemed to possess muscle memory, and he quickly completed the task assigned by the teacher. As the day of his date with the senior approached, Shiro rummaged through his things to dress up, only to realize that all of Makoto's clothes were outdated. In order to leave a good impression, he went shopping for new clothes and got a clean short haircut, instantly shedding his gloomy aura, and his brighter appearance immediately caught the senior's attention. As his relationship with the senior grew closer,
デートするの？
え？
美月先輩と？
all of it was silently observed by Akira. Akira said nothing, but at that moment, a school bully deliberately bumped into her, causing Shiro to fall from a ladder. Akira was furious and confronted them, but instead received insults in return. As they turned to leave, Shiro suddenly stepped forward. His reaction made the bullies burst out laughing, and he ended up being roughly handled, with his arm injured in the process. This deeply distressed Akira. Her reaction made Shiro realize that his relationship with Makoto might not have been as simple as friendship, and that Akira may have secretly harbored feelings for Makoto all along without him ever knowing. There were 51 days left until the school anniversary, and that same day was also Shiro's final deadline to uncover the cause of death. At this point, Shiro's mind was completely filled with thoughts of the senior, and he had pushed the sole administrator's mission to the back of his mind. When the long-awaited date finally arrived, the two went to the aquarium together, and Shiro even helped her pick out a gift. After learning that the gift was meant for another girl, Shiro's anxiety instantly disappeared, realizing that the senior did not have a boyfriend, and he immersed himself in fantasies of a beautiful romance. Just then, time froze once again, and the sole administrator possessed a woman and warned him not to get carried away with romance, reminding him that time was running out, and if he failed to uncover the truth, Shiro would truly lose his chance to revive. Only then did he grasp the seriousness of the situation, and he finally resumed his investigation. There were 37 days left when Akira suddenly asked whether they would still go to the fireworks festival together this year.
毎年一緒に行く約束でしょ。忘れた？
Coming back to his senses, Shiro quickly agreed, but as soon as he returned home, he discovered that Makoto's father had come back from his business trip, and when he saw his son again, his expression looked extremely unnatural. During their conversation, Shiro finally learned that Makoto had wanted to apply to an art program while he was alive, but his father believed it was a waste of time and insisted that he study law instead, and the two had once had a fierce argument over it. Makoto's father did not stay home for long, and after packing his things, he prepared to leave again. However, just before leaving, the couple suddenly started arguing, and from their conversation, Shiro abruptly overheard an unspeakable secret. It turned out the couple had already been living apart for a long time. Shiro felt that he was getting closer and closer to the truth. So when no one was home, he began searching his brother's room. Sure enough, he discovered that all the photos of Makoto had been collected by his brother, and Makoto's face had been scribbled over in every single one. Inside the box was also a sketchbook, and when Shiro opened it, he found it filled with Makoto's artworks from when he was alive. Yet for some reason, the drawings gradually shifted from bright colors to extremely dark tones, as if Makoto had suffered a heavy blow during that period. When Shiro flipped to the last page, he finally uncovered the truth, because that page was Makoto's farewell letter.
人の部屋で何やってんだ。誠に何をした。は？あんたこそ見られちゃまずいことがあるんだろ。
After refusing to explain anything, the brother directly set the sketchbook on fire using the gas stove and threw it out the window. Shiro rushed downstairs to retrieve it, but the sketchbook suddenly froze in midair. Time stopped once again, and the sole administrator possessed a little girl.
原因は何って聞いてるの。
Shiro angrily declared that the killer was Makoto's brother, claiming that he disliked Makoto and forced him down a desperate path. But this answer was wrong, and he had 2 chances left. After the sole administrator left, Shiro picked up the sketchbook and finally learned everything Makoto had gone through before his death from the farewell letter. It turned out that Makoto had been the overlooked one since childhood. His requests at home were often ignored, and at school he frequently endured bullying from classmates. with drawing being the only place where he could feel a sense of existence. However, just as he planned to apply to an art school, his father snapped his paintbrush in half, and his dream was shattered. Fortunately, in his despair, Makoto met the senior, and her warmth and charm quickly made him fall for her. He drew many portraits of her and even won a major school award because of them, but when a friend asked the senior whether she knew the artist behind the portraits, she feared being mocked if she were associated with Makoto, and claimed that she did not know him at all, saying the drawings were made after he secretly watched her. In that moment, it felt as if Makoto's world had collapsed. He angrily took down the portraits and personally cut off his feelings for the senior, yet the blow did not end there. On a rainy day, he witnessed his mother sitting in a car with another person, and only then did Makoto realize that his parents had already divorced, but had hidden it from him for fear it would affect his college entrance exams, and this became the final straw that crushed him. At that moment, Makoto felt abandoned by the entire world, and under overwhelming darkness and pain, he scribbled over all his photos and then swallowed a large amount of pills, and by the time his brother and mother found him, it was already too late. Makoto's experience deeply saddened Shiro, but at the same time, he also felt anger toward Makoto's weakness, so when Akira dressed up carefully and came to invite him to the fireworks festival, Shiro only felt that it was unfair to Akira.
誠は風邪なんかで入院してたんじゃない。自殺したんだよ。君のことなんて一言も書いてなかったよ。
Akira slapped him across the face and turned away in anger. Heavy rain fell from the sky once again, and Shiro stood hopelessly on the overpass, when the sole administrator appeared yet again.
そこから飛ぶ機会。でもその前にクイズに正解しないとね。
誠を殺した。
Shiro angrily stated that everyone around Makoto was responsible, that they had all driven him into a corner, but this answer was still wrong, and there were only 8 days left. When the mother returned home and found that Makoto had not come back all night, a strong sense of unease surged through her. The brother looked extremely anxious, worried that Makoto might do something reckless again, and insisted on going out to look for him. After calming her son, the mother drove out alone to search for Shiro, and finally found him soaked to the bone on the street. But the person Shiro least wanted to see at that moment was Makoto's mother, because he believed that if she had not left the family, Makoto might not have died. The mother hurriedly explained that after Shiro was hospitalized, she had cut off all contact with that man, but Shiro could not listen anymore. Just then, a car suddenly rushed toward them. When Shiro woke up again, he was already lying in a hospital bed. He was mostly unharmed, suffering only minor injuries, but his mother had fallen into a deep coma while saving him. His father held his wife's hand and wept uncontrollably, and Shiro was overwhelmed with guilt. At that moment, he learned from his brother that his parents were actually about to reconcile. When Shiro returned to school the next day, he heard from classmates that the senior had fallen for someone she should not have. Becoming the talk of the entire school, Shiro remembered that this girl was the very friend the senior had mentioned, and recalling Makoto's farewell letter, he finally realized that the senior had not denied knowing Makoto out of fear of being mocked, but simply because she was afraid the person she liked would misunderstand and think she had a boyfriend. From beginning to end, Makoto had been the only one imagining the relationship, and the senior had never deceived him. After returning home, Shiro noticed a gift from his father placed on the table, and inside were brand new paintbrushes, and only then did he realize that Makoto had never truly lacked love. He had simply failed to see it. Shiro hurried to find the soul administrator, hoping he would allow Makoto's soul to return to this body, because he wanted Makoto to understand that there were still many people in this world who cared about him. But the soul administrator said that Shiro had to remember what mistakes he had made in his past life, and if he could not answer, both his soul and Makoto's would completely disappear. Only then did Shiro realize that he did not even know how he had died. He searched through countless newspapers and looked up information online, yet found nothing about himself before death. At that moment, he was filled with remorse, because he could no longer return the body to Makoto. As he looked through Makoto's childhood photos, he suddenly noticed that from childhood to adulthood, Makoto had actually been happy, and the most important person had always been by his side. And that person was Akira. Shiro picked up a paintbrush and redrew the design for the school's centennial celebration, then rushed to school to show it to Akira, and what he drew was the brilliant fireworks lighting up the sky, hoping to make up for the regret of never going to the fireworks festival with her. Akira was leading the students in rehearsal, but to Shiro's shock, The painting he had just completed was exactly the same as Makoto's original work. Because Akira had waited too long for the new design, she had already taken Makoto's old drawing from the archive cabinet and used it as the final plan for the school celebration. Faced with this overwhelming scene, Shiro suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. And without Makoto's memories, it was impossible to produce an identical artwork, so there was only one truth. He was Makoto, and Makoto was himself. Sealed memories flooded back instantly, and those warm moments replayed in Makoto's mind like a slideshow. A loving childhood, caring parents, and the once-a-year fireworks festival. Throughout his life, there had been so many people who truly cared about him, yet he chose to ignore them. His brother had never despised him. It was Makoto who believed his brother had taken away their parents' love, so he never treated him kindly, leaving his harshest words for the person who cared about him the most. With happiness within reach, he insisted on chasing distant illusions. At this moment, Makoto finally understood everything. It was he himself who destroyed his own life. The hourglass stopped flowing at that instant, and Makoto was finally given a second chance. Accompanied by the Soul Administrator's blessing, he awakened completely and decided to live well, making peace with his past self. People often overlook what they already have and chase what they lack, not realizing that what you possess is actually the most precious of all. The world's cruelty depends on the angle from which you view it. You may think you are surrounded by darkness, but without light, you would not even see the shadows on the ground. Everything has two sides. When you choose to embrace the light, darkness will naturally drift away, and the only one who can save you is yourself, and the only one who can forgive you is also yourself.